Hello everyone, welcome back to my Unreal Engine tutorial series in creating your 3D platformer. In this video we'll be going over creating the different type of quest objectives. As you saw, we already created one which was to find the strange object, so let's go over accept the quest. You can see now I've got 4 objectives there, so we go over here, there's that, right? But if you look now, we've got these extra quests, so let me show you them. So after interacting with the moon, now we're going to go do our kill quests, which is this, kill 1 of 2 enemies. So let's go over. Yeah, there's 1 enemy dead, 1 enemy dead. Now we can kill the other one. You see, kill 2 enemies is now done, right? And now we've got a location quest. So this is an invisible box. But you can see, get to the location map and test the font size, and that will be our location quest. And now we're going to go collect the 2 strange spheres over here. 1, 2, and that's all done. So you can see now that we've collected that. A bonus thing that we're going to do is, if we've collected items already, like so, and then accept our quest, you can see now that we already have it done. So that will basically cover all your quests in your game, well, at least for a basic simple game like ours. So let me show you how easy it is to add these and how quickly you can get them implemented into your own projects. So let's go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our blueprints, into our quest system, and we're going to go to our data table for the quests, right? And now we're going to add a new objective. So come over to your objectives, click the little plus, and get a new objective, right? And let's just name the objective kill targets, kill enemies, kill 2 enemies. Doing 2 because we've got 2 enemies over here, right? Okay, objective ID, we're going to say kill target, like so, and just copy this, and we're going to say 2 of these, right? And it's going to be a type of kill quest. Just make sure that this is a location quest. Okay, great. So save that, and now come over to our dummies, open them up. And where is our damage decrease? Enemy death, right? So here we need to then call the event. So right click on your graph, get my player character, call get called objective ID. I think it's this one, yeah. Okay, so connect that up like that. And then create a new variable here. We'll just call this objective ID, and this will be of type string, and we'll just connect it up like that, and make sure it's instance editable, and then we can compile and save, and just make this objective ID what we set in the data table, which is this kill target. So if we go here, you'll see it's called kill target. Great. So let's test it out. So gonna come into our game, go over to our quest giver, and here's our quests. So we're gonna interact with it. So if we go to our quest menu now, first quest, you see we haven't done the find thing on stage, so let's do that. There we go, find thing on stage. And now we'll go over to our characters and hit them. That's 1 dead, 2 dead, they killed 2 enemies. If we go check, kill 2 enemies. Done. Easy kill quest. Okay, so next we're going to do location objectives. So come back over to your quest system, and we're going to create a new blueprint and call it of type beta BP location quest objective, just so that we know what it is. And we're going to add a box collision here. And we'll just increase the size to say 64, 64, 64, change it to whatever you feel like. And we're going to need 2 variables, or just 1. No, let's just call it 1 for now. Objective ID, and we'll name it string, and we'll just give it the objective ID of test location. Copy it, and I'll go over to our quest system, and we're going to add a new objective here, and we're going to call this get to location. Get to location on the map. Objective ID is going to be the same, test location 1, and we're going to change the type to a location quest, right? This actually, now that I'm thinking about this, should be an interact quest, not a location quest. Okay, so save that, and that's all fine. So we're going to come over to our world now, and we'll say the quest is over there. Let's just increase its size a bit, so maybe 2, 2, 2. And go. There we go. So let's check if it works. We'll go over to our quest giver, accept, and now you see we have 3 quests: get to location map, kill 2 enemies, and find thing on stage, right? Okay, so here it is, the box. And why did that not work? Sorry, I might have forgotten something. Objective ID, oh yes. Okay, so on active begin overlap, sorry, I totally missed this part. Go get my player character, and again called objective ID, and we'll just connect this up like so, like that. If this doesn't work, we might have to cast, so let's just check. Okay. Accept. And there we go, get the location on the map. And check, there we go, nice and easy. So I think one thing we want to check quickly, because notice there on the map was a bit big, is if we come over to our quests UI, quest objective update, we just choose this text block. Just make sure auto wrap is on, and let's decrease the font size to say 16. So let's just say we now go here, other thing, I'm on the right quest. Objective, oh yes, sorry, test location, and test the font size. Yeah. So now that's nice and long, so let's check it out. So go over to our quests, accept, and go over here. Bam, it did not go according to the auto wrap, so let's fix that quickly. Go back over here, go over here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so in your widget blueprint, since we have our border which is 400 wide, right, we just want to set our text to start auto wrapping at say 350 if you want, and then also just set the minimum desired length to 350. This might be some trial and error from your part, but fiddle, see what works best for you, but now it will auto wrap down. Okay, now that we're done with this, what we want to do is we need to create the last type of quest, which is a collection quest. So what we need is an inventory component, right? So this will store all of our items that we pick up in the game, whether it be money and such, but this is just for the quest. So for now, we're just going to create a new blueprint class of actor component, BPC inventory. And we will expand on this a bit later, just so that we can start collecting like alternative costumes and such for our characters. So open this up, and we're gonna need something called content. So let's create a variable called content. Oops, good spell. And this is going to be a name And on the right side here under variable type, we can change this to a map of type integer, right? So basically, we're gonna add the item, which is the name, and how many, which is the integer, right? And now we actually need to add it to our inventory. So let's create a new function called add to inventory. And we need to then get a name. And we're gonna call this item. And we need a variable of integer called quantity. There we go. Yeah, so from here we're gonna get our content map, drag it out, get, and type find, right? And we're gonna find the item, and then we need to do an add. Yep, that's the one. We're gonna add the item, and what we need to do here is go quantity plus the item we have equals the new one, right? Like so. Okay. And then from here what we'll do is we'll get my player character like so, and we're gonna call objective ID like so, and we're gonna auto convert this item. So let's just go get item, and it'll be this one right at the bottom, and that's just basically calling that, and then we'll just connect this straight up like this, and it'll auto convert for us. So essentially when we getting the objective ID, it will be dynamic to the item we're picking up, and that's what this is. Okay, so from here we're going to go to our player character, and we're going to add the component here. So VPC inventory like so. Now we have an inventory. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to basically proof our quest here, right? So we're gonna go on objective found. Is this one? Yes. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to change how the code works here, right? Because essentially what's gonna happen is we're always adding this one value. So that's the first problem, is that regardless, let's say we open up a chest and we have 10 items in there of our quest ID. When we call that, it's only going to add 1, even though we have 10 from the chest. So we need to change that by making this a variable. So come over to our unobjective find and add a new variable called value or quantity, and make it an integer. And now you're going to get this error over here. I'll show you how to fix that now. But for now, let's go over to here, and we're going to go get quantity, right? And it will be so with the F on it because it's calling this function. So if we click on create event, basically what's happening is it's now looking for this quantity on objective found, right? Which doesn't technically exist on our character. So if we go back over to our character, so it's here, this call objective ID, right? So if I go over here to the event dispatcher, it doesn't have that value. So it's basically looking for that and not finding it. So let's add a new value and call it quantity, like so, make it a integer, and we'll set the default value to 1, so that at minimum whenever we call this, it's always 1. So if we click compile, and now we go over to, just save this, go over to our quest base, click compile, that error should now go away. I'm just going to close out all this other stuff we don't need for now. Make sure you save anything, file, save all, and that's fine. This default value did not update here, which I was hoping it would, so just make sure just to add the quantity of always being 1. Yeah, compile and save, right? So that we're always adding 1 to our, at minimum, always 1 to our inventory. Okay. So anywhere that we have this now call objective ID, we basically need to give it the 1 value, right? So if we go over to here, we've got this, which will be 1. Same for the other call on objective ID. it should default to 1, but for some reason, I think it's a bug in the software, in Unreal, it's not. So just if there is anywhere that there is the 0 on the quantity, just make sure it's 1. We'll do the same for our quest. So that's fine there. Okay, so now what we need to do now is create this quest item that we're going to add to our inventory. So come over to your quest blueprint, right click and create a new blueprint class, actor BP quest underscore oops test let's say name it objective item, right? Yeah, open it up, and we're going to add a static mesh like so, and we'll just change it to be, say, a sphere. Any sphere will work, I guess. There we go. And now we're going to need a sphere collision like so. Let's reduce this to maybe 5 or maybe 0.2, right? And then here we're going to increase this to like 128. Let's attach it to the same node, right? So I'm not scaling it incorrectly. Make sure it's 1. Okay. So let's reduce this now to like 64, 32. 32 is fine. Let's make it 40. Just a bit bigger. Okay, so scroll on down, and we're going to change the on component begin overlap, and we need to then get my player character. That's such a useful function, and we're going to go get inventory, PPC inventory like so, and from here we're going to add to inventory like that, and then we can either make this a variable, so let's do that. So we can duplicate this, so make it item name, and make it a name, and make it instance editable and expose on spawn. Okay, and then we can set that like that, and set the default quantity to 1. Okay, so basically every time we walk over the sphere, we will then add the item to our inventory. So on this item name, let's just give it a name, call it test sphere like so, and then just copy that. Right. Now let's drag a couple of them into the world. So let's put them up here. So let's just say 2 for argument's sake, and come over to our quests. We're going to get to our new objective, which will be our 4th one, and this will be collect sphere. Collect, if you can spell, collect strange spheres. We'll call it objective ID will be test sphere, and we'll say we're going to get 2, and we'll make this a collect quest, right? And accept. Okay, so I was just bug testing, and I found that on the VPC inventory, when we call the objective ID, we didn't actually increase the value. So remember I said go find the called objective ID, and just make sure that you got the default value of 1. Okay, so come over to your quest base now, and we're going to change the on objective found. Basically, we need to get the quantity to make sure that we're updating correctly. So if we've removed the item from our inventory, we can then update the quest, because let's say we pick up the 2 items we require right away, and then we throw one away. It will always say that we've collected the 2 items, which technically in our inventory we only have the 1. So come over to your on objective found, and I'm just going to make some rewrite nodes here. Like so. I'll just drag out, right? And basically what we need is a branch, like so. And we need to check this quantity. So we're going to get a math integer thing called a sign, which basically just takes the quantity and checks if it's negative or positive, right? So if it is greater than 0, go ahead like normal, right? Let me move this so that we're not removing, we're adding, right? So we're going to basically get the same here, like so. And this will be our objective ID. And let's just go get objective ID like so. And we're going to then come and get this add. So basically exactly like this. Like so. Here, connect this up like so. Connect that like that. I'm going to connect this to the false. And then from here, we're just going to get the return node. Connect it up like so. Let's just neaten this all up because it's quite messy. That's fine. And then move this over here. Move this up like so. Right. This is our comment this, remove value from quest. Let's change value to quantity from quest. And then we'll do this and say add quantity to quest. So the last thing we need to add is we need to check if we have the quest items already in our inventory, right? So let's say the quest was to collect 3 deer hides. We already had 3 deer hides. For argument's sake, let's say we had 6 in our inventory, right? Well, before we pick up the quest, or when we pick up the quest, it needs to then check our inventory to see if we've already got the items. So come over to your event graph after the begin play. And we are going to get our current stage details, like so. And we're going to break the results, get our objectives, and go for each loop. And from here, we're going to break again. So once we've broken it, we're going to drag out from type, and we're going to go equal equal, and you see this is equal enum, right? And we'll make sure it's of the type collect quest. Let's move this down here. And then connect up a branch like so. Yeah, so essentially what we're doing is we're checking the current stage of our quests, specifically for the collect quest. So that's what this is doing. It's checking each of our quests here to check if we have the collect quest, and if we do, then we're gonna go here, get my right click, get my player character. Okay, so from here, what we're going to do is get our inventory component, BBC inventory, get it, yep, like so. So what we need to do is actually, it needs to check our inventory, right? So let's come over to our BBC inventory component. We're going to call a new function called check inventory, right? And we need an input of type name. It's going to be the item name, item, like so. And then from here, what we're going to do is going to drag out our content, and we're going to go find, like so, connect up item name to there, and then get a return node. And we're going to connect up to here, and this value is going to be changed to quantity, right? That's just querying our inventory just to check in our inventory how many of this we have and returning that. So now come back over to your quest base and go check inventory like so, connect that up to sure. So now we need to get the item name. So come over to your quest objectives and just drag in the objective ID, because remember we set it as dynamic, so whatever our quest item will be our objective ID, right? So like that. So then what we need to do is we need to get the function on objective found like so, and connect up quantity to quantity like so, and then just go from objective ID to objective ID like that. Let's rewrite these to make it a bit cleaner. That. Okay, and let's check that it is now working, right? So let's come over to our quest guide, accept, and you see we've got in the quests now collect strange fears 0 of 2, right? So let's close out of this and go up to here. 1, 2, technically better. I think I forgot to set the destroy actor. 3. So let's just double check. I did. So destroy actor like that. Right? Okay, let's do it again. Come over here, accept the quest, make sure we got it. 1 of 2. Okay, great. Over here, 1 of 2. Happy days, right? So that's that. And now we can test it again. So if we go over to get our quests, so 1, 2. Obviously, we don't have the quest, but if we go over here, accept, and you can see we've got collect strange sphere quest objective ID pop, and it's already done. So that's going to be it for the different type of objectives for your game. To kill, collect, find, and locations. In the next video, we'll be going over saving our quest system so that we can keep track of our quests if we save and load and such. Yeah, but for now, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers for now.